Another edition of Final Feelings riding home here. Dean Legge, Matt DeBerry. Matt, Georgia Tech this weekend, the sort of quintessential Atlanta game. And Kirby Smart talked on Tuesday about how he was happy that he did not have to deal with the option anymore, saying that it wasn't something that he could decide, but it was something he was happy he didn't have to deal anymore. But this Tech team it's just going to be hard for them to compete with Georgia, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he figured out that triple option, a few years ago towards the end. But yeah, they're going to have a really tough time doing much of anything against Georgia's defense. I like the running back, Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back out of Dalton that Georgia almost kind of offered late in his recruitment, but he's got to be their best player, right, Dean? And if you don't have a line to run behind, you're not going to be running against this Georgia front seven. And with these safeties coming down to help in the run game, I don't see them doing much of anything. I mean, when's the last time this game was close?
Well, I mean, Tech won in 2016 and 14, but
yeah, that was it.
Just generally speaking, it's been a rough run for the Jackets, certainly since Kirby and them got everything settled down. That win over Georgia in 16 was actually one of the all-time great comebacks, back-to-back performances in Athens from Tech. But they're not even close to that program anymore, and Georgia isn't either, which is kind of the problem, I think, for Georgia Tech. But a 35-point line, comments?
I think Georgia should handle them pretty well. We know what Kirby Smart thinks about the Florida Gators after the leaked audio that came out at halftime. I don't think he likes Georgia Tech much either. I don't think he's going to come out and embarrass them. I think the game, like most of the games this season, Dean, it's going to be over at the halftime. We're going to see a lot of backups, get some playing time against a rival. This is a real, true rivalry game, so they do want to put the game away and have some guys come in and play in that second half. But, I mean, this is Mark Richt Field. Georgia doesn't lose there. I don't know what to say. It's going to be a blowout. I think we all expect that and have for pretty much the entire season. They didn't get to play Tech last year. I think they're going to want to rub their nose in it a little bit, but I think they'll cover. I don't think they're going to try to embarrass them, deep into the fourth quarter or anything like that.
Wow, they might not try. Listen, I've watched Tech, I think, 4 times this season, and they're just not good. And that's not Georgia's fault, and it's not anyone else's fault. I mean, they had played Clemson tight, which the whole universe has, except Wake Forest and South Carolina State. It's not working right now. This is going to be almost certainly Jeff Collins' third straight 3-win season. It's not working. So I don't anticipate Georgia Tech making a change. I also don't think that this would be a great year to make a change. I mean, I don't know what Penn State. Can we just discuss the Penn State thing? What are they doing?
What has he accomplished? I think he played in the Rose Bowl against USC like a few years ago when they had Sam Darnold. USC had Sam Darnold, and I think Penn State lost that game. But outside of that, I've never been a James Franklin guy. I thought it was crazy they went out and hired him and were happy to hire him, and now they just gave him all these years. Penn State's a program that would rather be okay with, I guess, mediocrity in that league instead of do the hard thing, fire a coach, and start a rebuild. That's an organization, or I guess a program rather, that wants to have their guy in place, believe in him, and have him there for a long, long time. And I don't think it's working up there. He's recruited really well, but it hasn't translated into much of anything. I know he has a really nice class coming in, but I don't expect James Franklin to do much of anything at Penn State as long as Ryan Day is there at Ohio State. And I mean, Michigan's trying to come up there. Wisconsin is playing hard, always finds a way to lose a couple games, though. But Penn State's not an easy job, even up there. And I don't think he's the guy. But what was it, 10 years? Is that what they gave him?
Well, let me take James Franklin's side, which is something you will never hear me say very often. After back-to-back 7-win seasons, he has gone to a Rose Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Cotton Bowl, and 3 years out of 4 from 16 to 19. They lost the Rose, obviously, in a monumental collapse. They won the Fiesta. I think that was against that was not a that was against UW. So okay, and then they beat Memphis in the Cotton Bowl. So they've had 3 11-win seasons. The problem is he's won 11 games total these last 2 years, going 4-5 and 7-4. It's not good, man. And the appropriate thing in business is to go out and get whatever you can, whatever. I mean, everyone on watching this and everyone certainly on this call understands that. But I mean, talk about being overvalued. It's insane. I mean, he's never made the playoff. Just
listen, Georgia fired a guy for
yes,
fired Mark Richt for just winning 10 games. This guy's winning 10 games, nothing more, and he gets a giant extension. Maybe that just says where Penn State and Georgia are at programs, where the SEC and the Big Ten are at, as conferences. That's good enough in Happy Valley. They're okay with pretty good. They don't have to be great. Those people don't. I mean, they're fine with what they have. That's not true in Athens, but I was very, very surprised when I heard the news. Couldn't really believe it, but that just happened. Oh, got something going on. You all right there, Dean?
I missed your last comment. I'm sorry I had to.
I was just making fun of James Franklin and Penn State a little bit, but
it's not great.
Who do they have this weekend?
I think they got to play Michigan State. I mean, I'm just going off memory, but
that could be another loss. I mean,
it should be a loss. Although I think it's a close line, as memory serves correct. But I think you're sitting there. Yeah. So it's Penn State's favored by a point at Michigan State, which is not a great sign for Michigan State. But look, James Franklin is full of it, and he's been full of it for a long time. And everybody in this league knows what I'm talking about. So he had some.
He's a car salesman. Yeah,
totally, and that's part of this job. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, but more so a used car salesman than a lot of the folks that are out and about in this industry. I don't know, man. I think if you're Penn State and James Franklin leaves, so I mean, there's so many people out there.
Yeah. I mean, he recruits well, and I get that you have to have a recruiter if you want to win. We're seeing that in Athens, but there's a lot of guys younger than him who could probably recruit and keep that going. I mean,
you don't think Dan Lanning
is the school up there? I mean, they should have.
Dan Lanning could go up there and fight and get the job done.
Do a great job.
Yeah,
we do a great job. Yeah.
And also, just as a timeout, bro, you think Penn State's a better job than LSU? You're nuts. You think Penn State's a better job than SC? You're crazy. You're talking about two of the premier places to be. And Penn State is a premier place to be. It has passionate fan. It has one of the biggest audiences in terms of television. I mean, they are a big deal. They don't have.
They care. Yeah.
They care big time. They just don't have the natural resources that you want. I mean, you have great. You have Philadelphia and your favorite. Well, your favorite is Philadelphia, and then you got Pittsburgh, and you got basically Alabama in between. It's not a great talent-rich state. I mean, don't lecture us on Joe Namath and all these guys. Most of those guys were Eastern Ohio, though, right? What's the cradle of? Yeah. So Pennsylvania has guys. They don't have what Florida, Georgia, Ohio, Texas, Southern California. So it's a great spot. They love what they are and have been for a long time. But for what they were for a long time, they had their guy, which was Joe Pa. And transitioning away from your hero is always complicated. This guy.
But they had Bill O'Brien for a little bit.
Yeah,
they do not like firing the guy.
But you've got to look, you and I have not talked about Dan Mullen publicly yet, but I think maybe Florida acted too fast there, to be frank with you. I mean, I don't know. It was not working. And I think the time to stop your problem is when it's not working at the start. Like there should have been an intervention, I don't know, straight up after the Georgia game or going into the Georgia game or what. But I think when you had the success at Florida that Dan Mullen's had, which is about the only real success that they've had, I don't know. I'm a touch skeptical that they made the right call there. Florida ain't what it used to be. And if that were the case, Georgia wouldn't be kicking their teeth in. 4 out of 5 years or whatever it's been, and they would be winning conference championships. They're not what they used to be. Go.
Well, I definitely think it was more than the right time to get rid of him because they were just going downhill. It was only going to get worse. The statement about I'll figure that out recruiting season should have fired him the next day. I mean, come on, what are you doing?
It's been a bad year. Don't get me wrong.
If I'm Florida, I'm going after Lane Kiffin, hoping he doesn't use that as a stepping stone somewhere else. I don't see Lane Kiffin ever going somewhere and being somewhere for the long haul. But if there's one guy who can change Florida pretty quickly and get them back to relevancy, I think Lane Kiffin would be that guy. I mean, Florida's the best job out there, right? I would say Florida's a better job than USC and LSU.
I think LSU's the best job out there, and I can explain why if you want me to. First of all, I think the Gators don't care the same way that LSU does. I think they care more than SC. I mean, this is all relative. I mean, Florida cares a lot more than Penn State. Sorry, Penn State. The truth is what it is. The Gators are there is a particular burden of expectation. What Florida's not doing is what's necessary to be done in order to succeed. And you can interpret that however you'd like. So that's the difference. LSU, on the other hand, they are blessed with no in-state competition. Their closest real foe is in Houston with Texas A&M in College Station. So they have a bit of a buffer. And LSU, most people from Louisiana are from Louisiana. Most people from Florida are not from Florida. They're from some other place, So you don't have – it's not as, the talent is not as sticky at Florida. And, Matt, you have the Canes and Florida State. And if Florida State ever figures it out, which they could, we'll see, that would be pretty problematic for two people specifically, which are the Gators and Clemson. So I think, to me, Florida is a very good job. Probably, I would have to come back and rank them, but
I'd say it's a top 10 job, and I would probably throw LSU in there for sure.
Yeah, and we're kind of picking here a little bit, but and then I want to get your comments on the college football rankings too. This week, Georgia at 1, Ohio State 2. Alabama at 3, which probably makes sense. And then Cincinnati, Michigan, and Ohio State in order. I mean, Notre Dame is at the 5. We're very close. If Georgia beats Alabama and everybody holds still, we're very close to Georgia, Notre Dame in the first round. And just comments, generally speaking.
And you talk about eyeballs. I mean, the entire world would be trying to watch that game. I think Ohio State is the clear number 2. I think it's Georgia, Ohio State. A little bit of a gap. Then Alabama, who gave up 35 and like close to 500 yards, I think, against Arkansas. They've got some problems, and I talked about that in my video earlier. But we'll see how good Michigan really is. No one expects them to beat the Buckeyes. I still think Cincinnati is really good. I think they're probably a top 5 team. Are they a top 4 team? I'm not sure, but they did beat Notre Dame, who's playing really, really well. They're a team that is playing better. But the committee does not want Cincinnati in there as far as revenue and eyeballs. They would love for the Irish to be in there. But I don't think Cincinnati's losing another one. I think we'll see.
We can't know. We can't know. Yeah. I mean, it's not like Alabama's defense is falling off a cliff. Them and Ohio State are both at 19-ish. Points a game. Notre Dame at 18. Cincinnati has really played well. They're allowing 16. Georgia's at 7.5. I would bet Tech will probably score. I would imagine, but I don't know that they're. Yeah. Well, you never know. I mean, there's been they didn't allow Clemson to score a touchdown. That UAB was no touchdown. Vanderbilt no touchdown. Arkansas no touchdown. I'm talking about the defense. Right. These guys this past week didn't score a touchdown. Missouri didn't score a touchdown. I mean, there's not a lot of schedule. There's not a lot of first half touchdowns. I thought Ohio State looked exceptional this weekend, but when you go back and look, Michigan State's not unbelievable in pass defense. I don't know. One other thing here, real quick here, Matt. We can't know this yet, but it seems like George Pickens is like getting closer and closer. Tuesday, Kirby saying that George was was working with the 2s and the 3s. which to me means it ain't that long until he's working with the ones, but he's not been cleared yet, which is important, not just for, very specifically for George and his future, but comments about George, I don't know, getting further along.
I mean, he makes a good offense great, probably. I know Stetson Bennett would love to have him back. But again, remember last year, JT Daniels wasn't cleared for the longest time. He finally was. I believe after their first loss, they said, okay, or second loss after Florida, they said, okay, let's finally get this guy in there. So he's got to be cleared. And Ron Corson, as everyone knows, is one of the best in the business. They're not going to rush this kid out there who has a very bright NFL future. But yes, you definitely would love to have him back for Alabama. And I think the only way that happens is if he gets some type of reps, some live reps against Georgia Tech in that second half. Just get him out there, run a route or two, catch one little ball like we saw Don Blaylock. He caught a couple small little passes in the fourth quarter just to get him out there, maybe get tackled once, maybe build a little bit of confidence going into the Alabama game. I wouldn't want to send him out there and be like, okay, this is your first game back. It's against Alabama. Go for it. I would like to get him some reps against Tech. It seems like they're trying to get him back as quickly as possible, but it does take time. And with guys like Pickens who can change direction and beat you in a lot of different ways, you want to make sure that knee is completely healthy. So I'd love to see him back. And it looks like if he does come back, yeah.
It's everything else too, man. I mean, like once you're really going full go, hammies.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, I mean, like you're worried about other stuff, and George.
Don Blaylock had the hamstring when he was trying and almost ready to come back earlier this season. He had the hamstring deal, so you're right. There's a lot that goes into it, but I'm sure they would love to get him back. Hopefully, we see him back, but I don't know a timeline.
Well, just to look, the guy has worked a long time, and he's trying to get back to being himself. This is important for Georgia, for George. There's a lot of money on the table. Let's just call it what it is. I mean, it's important for George's future and his children's future if he chooses to have kids. So, I don't know. I'm pulling for him. I'm pulling for guys who get who are injured and come back. We do. I want to say this too out loud, and I tweet this sometimes. We've just, as a society, we got to quit booing players when they're hurt. Whether you think your team is being slowed down by the other team or not, guys get hurt. Okay. Don't do that at Georgia. It's really embarrassing. It's a bad look. Don't do it at Georgia. Don't do it at Miami. Don't do it anywhere. It's bad. It looks bad. You sound like a moron. Don't do it. Sure, you can scream and yell all you want, and it's your ticket and all that. You just look like trash when you do that. I'm sorry. It's what it is.
Is there an acceptable place to boo at a play? Is that acceptable, or is that still a no-go? I mean, where in society can people boo? I agree with you. It's probably not at injured players on a college football field.
Any sporting event, it is perfectly adequate to boo. I'm talking about a particular scenario at that. Right. At a play, I'm trying to think, in the arts, as a person who went to a liberal arts school, which doesn't mean you're liberal, it just means you took all of the courses. We were exposed to many different things in the arts, and I don't know if at a play you can boo. But I think to me, your expression is an important thing, and I don't know, Matt. I mean, that's a very good question, actually, because I don't know how many concerts you've been to. You never hear anybody boo at a concert. It's very rare. It's usually
maybe at a movie. Man, I wanted to boo after Avatar. That one kind of put me to sleep.
I've
like 10 years ago.
I've never seen that movie, so I don't know. But I think it's a good question. When is it okay to boo? And I think when the other team comes out is like time number one to do it.
Yeah.
And then there's other times too, but I think, when I watch some of your videos, I scream and yell at them.
I was going to say, when the turkey's served at Thanksgiving, that's when Dean gives a boo. But
your boy Kirby tonight, Tuesday night was saying he is a fried turkey guy, which, hey, we respect that. But he said it's cannot be dry turkey, which fried is not going to be, I just, with the people making the turkey for my situation, I'd really be concerned about the hospital. So we're not going to the hospital, Matt, ever.
No.
We're not losing eyes, digits, limbs.
Not at Thanksgiving, at least. Come on,
well,
yeah.
I mean, that's back in the day at Tucker. You might lose a limb.
Do y'all watch the Egg Bowl on Thanksgiving? Is that kind of a leggy household tradition?
Must watch. You know how my situation is?
I do.
TVs. Yeah, triple TVs. And we will have the Egg Bowl in the middle as we contemplate, how much we've eaten. We are going to go with cheesecake, creme brulee, cookies, and probably a surprise dish, dessert.
Yeah. Awesome.
I will eat
so
way too much.
I don't want to push it. We're doing Thanksgiving dinner at the in-laws, but I kind of already told them. I said there's a big college football game on. Yeah. I know y'all are tennis people, but it's the Egg Bowl. This is a big deal. We got people, fake peeing in the end zone to lose games. I mean, this game is nuts. So I don't care about watching the Lions, but give me some Egg Bowl,
You got as many jabs in there as you could. I know y'all are tennis people. We saw there was a guy peeing a couple of years ago. The Egg Bowl is must watch. I do wish that Texas and A&M were still on, but again, Matt, and this is your first Thanksgiving at the in-laws official, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Official.
As a married couple.
You're married. Right. So here's what you do. Okay, you come in. We're going to close with this. So I'm sure everyone's on their feet. You come in and you establish dominance immediately. You say the Lions will be on right now. I will have my gravy. I am not doing any turkey. Get it out of here. You tried to come at me with the cranberry that was not from a can. I will divorce your daughter tonight if you do not get this trash out of here. Okay? That's what you do when you come in the door. And then they're going to be so scared to death because they're used to watching Novak Djokovic and Chris Everett, who's no longer Chris Everett Lloyd, that they will be scared to death. And then you will have to establish that you are not only crazy, but you are willing to lose limbs, eyeballs, and digits to watch the Egg Bowl. Gotta watch the Egg Bowl.
Yeah, you gotta bring your football attitude in there. But her mom's excellent. The second I walk in the door, she'll ask if I want a beverage. So they're all in, I think.
Would your father-in-law do Bull in the Ring? Could you figure out how to arrange Bull in the Ring, which is where everybody on the football team would circle one person. He would point. This is no longer how and you point the guy and you hit him, and then you just go through a round until everybody gets done. Are you doing any Thanksgiving Bull in the Ring?
No, that Craig, the father-in-law, is a badass. Her younger brother is a giant, works out every day. No, it's going to be a good time though. But I would be on the bottom of the totem pole over there. I'm working on it.
Maybe do what I did, but kind of in a modified way. Maybe not a lot of screaming. Yeah, not a lot of screaming. Maybe just kind of just like settle it in. I'll tell you
quietly assert dominance.
Yeah, just kind of establish dominance in a subtle way. All right, everybody. Hope we have a good Thanksgiving, Matt. We'll see you on Saturday. Well, no, anyway, we'll discuss all these things.
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye.